What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and there's some pretty breaking news coming out, some roster moves that were made by the Dolphins that I want to get to, and then I'll read some tweets corresponding and stuff from different people. There's multiple sources with different perspectives and opinions and so on and so forth. So first and foremost, the Dolphins have signed a couple players. It would be cornerback, cornerback Marcus Sherels and running back Dillon Turner. Marcus Sherels is a cornerback that he's 32 years old. Dillon Turner is 22, I believe, 22, I believe, and he's coming off the Ravens practice squad. Marcus Sherels is supposed to help out on special teams. And they are replacing Preston Williams, who obviously got put onto IR, and Robert Nkemdiche, who the Dolphins waived today. So as far as Robert Nkemdiche goes, that's yet another failed experiment by the Dolphins, and yet another example of how they are not any good at evaluating talent and so on and so forth, or what have you, or at least it's another example. They have a couple examples. To be fair, again, Preston Williams and Mark Walton are definitely bright spots. They have helped Mike Gesicki and helped those guys develop and produce on the field. Certainly Preston Williams more. Mark Walton has done some good things, but our run game's been pretty bad the entire season. And they have helped guys like Mike Gesicki elevate their game a little bit and continue their progression. However, the vast majority of their decisions have been massive failures. I mean, look, the 8 guys that they brought in from the AAF, right? Tyrone Elliott, the dude who led in sacks in the failed AAF league, right? None of those guys are on the roster, right? So, and it's a former first-round pick that they were supposedly, taking a shot on that maybe they can make into something, but there he goes, right? Josh Rosen, it's looking like that's not going to pan out to be anything at all as each week progresses. Who knows, right? So, but from all of the information and examples we have, almost none of their personnel choices have worked out. Or not even just for this season, but even as far as like potential building blocks for the future. So, but we'll see how it works out. I mean, we'll see how these guys go. So, Bob McManaman, Robert Nkemdiche has been waived. Let's see. By the way, okay, well, never mind. So Cameron Wolfe, people asked why the Dolphins were playing Preston Williams at punt returner when he got hurt, which is actually exactly where he was when he got hurt. The answer is they thought he was better at it than their incumbent Jakeem Grant, which honestly, if you look at Preston Williams' returns, he hasn't proven to be better than Jakeem Grant. But even if you thought that was the case, he's your top wide receiver. Jakeem Grant has proven to be more than capable at the very least. And certainly based off of the information available, granted, Preston Williams has only had a very small sample size, to be fair to him, and he's injured now. But, Jakeem Grant's gotten touchdowns in special teams off of punts and kickoffs. So, and Preston Williams hasn't done it yet. And he got hurt on a special teams play in punt coverage or in punt return. So, look, honestly, there's really no legitimate justification, right? It's like when they said, oh, well, we felt really good about that 2-point conversion play. And then once everybody started asking him questions, well, the play design, though, you only had 2 blockers for 4 defenders. And why was Kenyon Drake in there when Mark Walton was the one who practiced that play if you felt so good about it? When people started probing and asking questions, they realized that their initial bullshit excuse wasn't going to hold any water or any weight. So then they changed it and, okay. They still said that they felt they did double down and said that they felt good about the play, but then, you know, they also said, but well, you know, Mark Walton had a little bit of an injury. Okay, and he did end up on the injury report, but randomly out of nowhere, he played pretty much all of that game, and it was with a thumb injury. But then he practiced all week, and he came right into the very next game. So, come on. Really? So you pulled him out of one play, the one play where he was the most important guy and one of the most crucial moments in the entire game, and that's your excuse? Really? Come on, bruh. I mean, and it's constant, right? They're constantly making excuses and then having to either like double down or backpedal when, you know, they've been exposed. And so this is another example of that. Why did you need to have Preston Williams on punt return? You got him hurt. He got hurt on punt return, right? So there's a legitimate argument, and he's your top receiver, and it's not like you don't have other guys. You have, as a matter of fact, if you're trying to evaluate your team for the future, why not see what other guys, other of these young guys, you know, maybe like Patrick Laird or Myles Gaskin, these running backs that you're not even using, you know, Myles Gaskin has been inactive pretty much the entire year, right? And so, but that also goes to show he was one of their picks, and they've decided to bring in a running back to presume that will presumably end up being ahead of him on the depth chart. So maybe Myles Gaskin isn't working out quite as much as you had hoped. And that was one of their draft picks. Andrew Van Ginkel, one of their draft picks from this year on injured reserve, right? So this regime's first draft, while I will be the first one to say that it's nowhere near close enough to being enough time to be able to fully evaluate them, they're not off to a very good start. Anyway, so real quick though, let me run through a few of these. Let's see. But anyway, he continues though, Cameron Wolf, now Dolphins signing a longtime veteran returner, Marcus Sherels, presumably to replace Williams. So he's getting at that maybe they don't really trust Jakeem Grant, but they just gave him a 4-year extension or whatever it is, 3 or 4 years. But they do have they did structure his contract so they could get out of it easy enough next year. So, I mean, look, and there's going to be massive roster turnover next year. So we came into this season, and after all the purges and everything, like 90% of this team, if not more, is all new faces, right? And it's going to be the same thing next year. So I don't know why people think we're going to be even that much better off next year, especially because it's impossible to think that they're going to hit on every single one of their picks. Anyway, let me continue on though. Mike Clay, Delance Turner might already be the best running back on the Dolphins roster. Ballage, Laird, Gaskin, and Turner. Let's see. Greg Likens. Dolphins have announced they signed cornerback Marcus Sherels and running back Delance Turner. They also waived defensive tackle Robert Nkemdiche and placed wide receiver Preston Williams on injured reserve. Real quick, Barry Jackson tweeted out, if you wondered why Dolphins signed a 32-year-old cornerback, Sherels could help on returns to replace Preston Williams. Sherels is third among active players in career punt return yards and fifth in average punt return. So in that regard, right, that is a decent reasoning, right? You are losing your punt returner, but at the same time, there is a legitimate question to say, why was he even there to begin with? And Jakeem Grant's not the only other option. You have other guys that you could use instead, but you didn't, so you got him hurt. Now you have to replace him, and your reasoning though is you're bringing in a 32-year-old cornerback who's obviously not going to be part of the future, and you're bringing him in just to replace the special teams guy you brought in. But you are now down one of your top receivers. I mean, just it's a lot of just like all around, like literally it's just swinging in the dark, like in the dark with a blindfold on, and they're just swinging. But they've proven over and over and over again that they just keep missing. And look, I mean, people can continue to argue, and this is how I'll end this video because I do want it to be kind of, you know, short, and it's already getting to 10 minutes. Look, people can keep believing it all they want, but the data keeps coming in, and it keeps stacking up against this organization, against Stephen Ross, Marvin Allen, Chris Greer, Reggie McKenzie, and Brian Flores. And look, man, like I said, people can argue it. They can ignore reality all they want, but eventually it's going to all play out. Brian Flores is not going to survive. The average coach has lasted 3.5 years under Stephen Ross. He's going to get impatient. Because they're not going to be anywhere close to competitive. He and everybody that thinks that all of a sudden next year we're going to turn this around and then we're going to be like, you know, competing for the playoffs and the Super Bowl from here on out. I mean, there has never ever been any evidence to suggest that a team in the NFL that has tanked, and again, no team has ever tanked to this degree, but there's no evidence to suggest that any team that tanks is going to be able to make that kind of a miraculous turnaround. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that's how I'm going to end this, guys. That's the news I got for you. I hope you guys enjoy my videos and my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. Share my videos and my channel with your friends and family. And of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. See y'all soon. Fins up.